Hello there, and welcome to Intermittent Fasting for the Win. I'm your host, Mike Saunders, and I'm thrilled to be here with you. A little about me. I've shed over 80 pounds and regained my health by embracing this incredible lifestyle of intermittent fasting. Alongside me is my amazing co-host, Jalene Weigand, who's not only been fasting for years but also brings her expertise as a circuit training coach to the table. Together, we're here to guide you on this journey and share everything we've learned along the way. So let me ask you, are you ready to take your fasting to the next level and unlock its full potential? Maybe you're feeling stuck and need some fresh inspiration to keep pushing forward. Or perhaps you're on the hunt for some practical tips to make fasting fit seamlessly into your life. Well, you've landed in the right spot. On this podcast, we're diving deep into the world of intermittent fasting, bringing you real stories, expert advice, and so much more. We'll be interviewing fellow fasters from all walks of life, shining a light on their progress, their struggles, and their triumphs. Stick with us because we've got all of this and plenty more in store to help you make intermittent fasting a win for you. So today, here we are, we're talking about diet brain and how it can sabotage a good fast or a good fasting program. And I'm joined here with Jalene and Daniela. And Daniela's way over in Italy. That's the wonderful thing about podcasting and about all of this high technology that we got. We can join forces. Jalene's out on the West Coast, and I'm stuck down in the middle of central Alabama out in the woods. But we can all talk like we were sitting in the same room. So
That's right. That's right.
Jalene, why don't you go ahead and start us on diet brain and just give us some thoughts about how it can sabotage a good fast.
Okay, well, diet brain. A lot of us have come to intermittent fasting after years and years and years of dieting. So it's definitely a process to have that go away. It takes a little bit of time. I think a lot of people come to fasting thinking that it's just about calorie restriction, and we know that that's definitely not what it is.
You know, fasting is a form of calorie restriction, but it's calorie restriction at certain times and not just calorie restriction across the board. Like if your doctor were to put you on a 1,500 calorie diet, that would be totally different than intermittent fasting. And
Well,
a lot of people still don't understand that.
for me, it really wasn't about calorie restriction. Maybe for some people it was, but I came to fasting after doing a low calorie diet. And that's really, really sabotaged my metabolism. So for me, I'm actually eating, not that I count calories, but technically I'm eating more calories while doing intermittent fasting than I was doing a low calorie diet. I'm just eating more whole foods, healthy foods. I'm just eating it in a smaller time period for me. But I know a lot of people might come to intermittent fasting and they're eating like, I don't know, 7,000 calories a day. So for them, it definitely would be a little bit of calorie restriction. But for me, it was more of the hormonal aspect of constantly stimulating my insulin by drinking, a coffee with a cream all day instead of eating. That was low calorie. But my insulin was constantly being
Spiked.
yeah, spiked. Exactly. It was being
Mhm.
spiked. So for me, it was about the hormones. But you're absolutely right. For some people, it is about eating less calories.
Well, Danielle, I think you'd agree with this too.
Yeah. I
we
do,
we
absolutely.
we can obsess about calories while we're fasting, and then
Yes.
we can obsess about pounds lost.
Mm-hmm.
We can obsess about a dress size or a jeans size.
Yeah.
And all of that is so not important in the big scheme of things when it comes to intermittent fasting. What do you think, Daniela?
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, I agree. I think if we go back a little bit in time, I think we've always been taught, or just it was just part of society, that we were always taught that foods just fall into two categories. You have good foods, then you have bad foods.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you start any kind of diet, you always start with, okay, well, I can't eat this, and this. So when you approach intermittent fasting and you hear people say, oh, you can eat whatever you want. Well, yes, you can. And there has to also be some kind of a leeway with that. You also want to try to bring yourself to eat real food, whole food, good food, foods that will leave you filled and satisfied. I mean, we want to try to limit as much ultra processed foods as we can. We don't want a diet of every day eating ultra processed foods. But if we get to a point where we want to have a cookie or we want to have some ice cream, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, one thing is having a couple cookies and some ice cream. Another thing is having a bag of Oreos and half a gallon of ice cream. Okay, so we still have to be mindful of how much food we are eating. That's anything we do. Otherwise, nothing is going to work. I mean, we can't eat, a limited amount of food. But I think the diet brain comes in when we say, okay, I want that cookie, but I can't have that cookie. Well, yes, you can. Because the more you're going to try to restrict yourself in that mind frame of saying, I can't have that cookie, the more you're going to want that cookie. And when you do get to that bag, you're going to binge. Okay, so just have the cookie and move on. Have two cookies and move on. Okay, have some ice cream, have whatever it is that you want. And I think the diet brain also comes into play, that it kind of goes to the back of our heads when we see that this does work. The intermittent fasting does work. That when you start day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year, and you get on the scale, if you weigh yourself or just by your clothes, and you really see, my gosh, this really does work. I'm not starving myself. I'm not killing myself in the gym 24 hours a day, okay, to keep or to maintain a certain amount of weight. You realize that just eating healthy, okay, and eating real foods, your body's going to crave that. And I've had friends that do intermittent fasting. Oh, we went out for ice cream and I just ate so much, I just felt like sick, like after a couple of hours, because your body is going to feel the difference when you're eating foods that you're not maybe used to eating as much of anymore, or just a sugar rush. If you're not used to eating out of sugar anymore, your body is going to be able to tell a difference. Okay. And it will eventually bring you back to eating real food, whole foods, good foods. And like Mike said in the beginning, I'm blessed to live in Italy. I live in Rome, but I grew up in the States. So I see and I saw how the two worlds eat, and they're very, very different. Okay, the quality of food is very different. The quantity of food is very different. Okay, so here, when we speak of, I've never heard anyone come to Italy and say, I've had bad food. It's just a typical Mediterranean diet. So it's always leaned towards more, a lot of fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, fish, that kind of stuff. And even just the quality of ice cream is different. The
Yeah.
pasta is different. The breads are different.
Yeah. You have less chemicals and
Yeah.
additional ingredients in your food.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
we
A
have
lot
to.
of things, a lot of products that are in the States, like I said, I grew up there, so I know
Mhm.
a lot of chemicals that are used in the States are prohibited here in Italy. So a lot of things
Yeah.
that eat here. I have people, friends, from the States that have allergies like you do to grains and things like that. They come over here and they have pasta, they have pizza, and they don't get sick. And they're like, oh, what happened? What happened? I'm not allergic anymore. Well, you're probably allergic to the chemicals that are
Exactly.
in the grain or in the bread or in the pasta. Whereas here, a lot of things aren't permitted. So the food is very different and your
Yeah.
body reacts to that. There's just no way around that.
That's no problem. I am so glad that you mentioned ice cream,
Mm.
because I just made a fresh batch last night of my 2 ingredient homemade ice cream, but this time it's got 3 ingredients. This time Vicky had a bunch of strawberries and she sliced and diced, and I made strawberry homemade ice cream that
Yeah.
that I'll get to try a little bit of tonight. But that's good. But Daniela, you hit on such a good point, and that is the fact that here in the United States, our food sources sometimes are horrific.
Yeah.
And if you don't shop around the perimeter of the supermarket, and you shop in the middle of the supermarket with all the box goods and stuff like that, you're basically you're sabotaging, your
Yeah.
fast with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's so tricky too, because they know how to market. So
Oh, yeah.
if it says all natural, people assume all natural means it's good, but that's
Mm-hmm.
very rarely all natural.
Well, that could mean all natural chemicals.
Exactly. It's all
Well,
natural junk.
if you read a box of cereal nowadays, it's, vitamin this and vitamin that and, whole grain this, and you're thinking, okay, you're giving your kid something good. And then if you know what you're talking about, obviously cereal is like the last thing you want to give your kids to eat, especially for breakfast.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's tricky. It's a slippery slope. It really is.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope. But I think the more we do this, and you guys, I think will agree, the more your body's going to crave that kind of food. You're not going to really want all the junk because your body's going to feel that, it's going to feel the difference when you're eating whole foods and good foods. And I don't care what anybody says. You want a cookie, there's nothing better than homemade anything. So if you really want, like Mike, make your own your homemade ice cream, make your homemade bread if you can, your homemade cookies, much better than anything that's store bought. Obviously it takes time, so that's another issue though.
Well,
Well,
go ahead.
And what happens when you make your own homemade cookies or your own homemade bread or ice cream is your body sees that it's real food and it's satisfying. So you're not going to keep wanting more and more like you do with Oreos, because it's not real food. It's not really satisfying what your body needs. So it's going to make you want more and more and more. I mean, it's intentional. Sadly.
Absolutely.
That's just like Vicky and I love to eat fish. We like salmon, and we'll cook salmon several different ways. And what you've got to do, and this will help with diet brain, is you've got to decide for yourself, do I want that whole single ingredient food, or, well, in the case of that fish, do I want good fish or do I want a fish stick?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And we all know that there's stuff in that fish stick that we probably don't need to put in our bodies. But if we eat that nice fillet of whatever type fish it is, and we cook it in the broiler, or we cook it on a flat griddle or something like that, it's always going to be better for us, especially if we put a little olive oil on it.
There you go. You know that. Well, it's just like saying a bag of potato chips is not the same thing of eating a baked potato. Still potatoes, but very different situation. Your body's going to react very different to a baked potato than it would to a bag of potato chips. And like Jalene said, you're not going to stop until you get to the end of the bag, until you get to the bottom of the bag.
And then you're still going to want more.
Guilty, and you're going to want more. And then you're going to start to feel guilty. And also that guilt, I think, is a big part of diet brain, because you feel like I went off track. I fell off the wagon here, and you get into that guilt, and it just becomes a circle of just like you can't get out of that. Like you feel bad, like, okay, well, I already broke my day, so what the heck? You're going to go and finish that bag of whatever, or I'm just going to keep on eating, or I'm just going to continue. And then you get into that cycle, and it's hard to break for a lot of people. Like once you start, it's hard to say, no, enough is enough. I'm just going to put whatever I have away, get up and walk away. Sometimes people just can't walk away, and they just keep going, and they get into that vicious cycle of just overeating because they feel guilty. So it's like, oh, I might as well, Well,
here's a classic. Here's a classic. My daughter, who lives down the street from us, they went out to eat last night, and they went to one of our favorite spots. It's a combination Asian restaurant and donut shop.
Fusion.
So they came back with 2 boxes of leftovers. They always bring us their leftovers from the restaurant, and we give it to our chickens, because chickens will eat anything,
Yeah.
But they came in the door and they had 2 boxes of donuts. And so she walked over there. She saw that the cake, the cake thing that you got that's made out of glass, with the cover over it. She said, oh, good, it's empty. And she starts putting all these donuts into the cake thing. And I said, oh my goodness. So I woke up this morning and those donuts are staring at me from the cake thing. And I made it to 10 o'clock and the donuts are staring at me from the cake thing. And then I made it till our company came over and we watched a video and had a good discussion about some church stuff and everything. And and they're still staring there at me, and they're talking about the donuts, and oh, where did the donuts come from, and blah blah, this, that, and the other. And but I have still yet to eat one, and it's going on 2 o'clock. And you know what? I'm going to have a donut later on in my window. Some point, I'm going to have a donut. I might have 2 donuts. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's going to be in my window, and I'm not going to break my fast because of it. And that's one of the ways that you get rid of diet brain, is you remember that you don't have to deny yourself. You just have to delay it.
Can I share a story about donuts? Okay.
Yes.
So I've been grain-free for 10 years because I have a thyroid issue and I have sensitivity to grain. And when I started,
All grains?
yeah, I have been eating a little tiny bit of sourdough, which
Come to Italy.
I know I need to go to Italy. So
Come to Italy, or I'll ship you some sourdough bread.
please, yeah, I can eat it. It's a sensitivity more than an allergy, I should say. And I eat a little bit of corn as long as it's organic, but flour just kills me. But anyway, so I started fasting and I was reading Delay, Don't Deny. So I was like, oh, I felt like I found the magic answer to all of my weight problems. And I thought, well, now I can eat a donut if I want. Delay, don't deny, right? So I fasted for, I don't know, 16 hours or so, and I went and got a bear claw. I haven't had a donut, and at that point it was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years.
Did it have the little sliced almonds on it?
It did.
Oh.
It did. And I ate the little toes first because I hadn't had one in so long. It was so delicious. But I learned a very important lesson. Don't open your window with a donut, because I ate the whole thing and it was huge. I don't know what I was thinking. So I ate the whole thing, crashed, felt terrible the rest of the day. So for me, because of my sensitivity, I learned delay, don't deny doesn't mean that I can open my window with a bear claw. And I didn't feel like I sabotaged my diet because of it. I just realized it didn't make me feel good.
It didn't make you feel good.
Exactly. If I would have felt fine, I would still be having bear claws occasionally, and it wouldn't derail me in any way at all. But boy, I felt terrible.
Well, let me ask both of you a question. Let me ask both of you this question. Do you feel like what you open your window with determines how diet brain is going to affect you?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I open my window with something too sweet, and I'm not demonizing sweets at all, but if I open with something too sweet, my body's like, I need more, I need more, I need more, I need more, because it didn't get what it needed. And if I open with, like, I like to open with veggies and like hummus, or, I love beans with veggies, some kind of protein and vegetables always makes me feel good to start my window. And then I can eat more later. But if I start with something that's sugary, then I just go down super quick. But that's just my body.
I would never open with fruit either. I always have my fresh fruit at the end. A lot of people love their smoothies with fresh fruit. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's good, but have it after you have your salad or your protein or whatever it is. Have it at the end. Don't open a 16, 17, whatever hour fast with a fruit smoothie. And first of all, personally, my personal opinion is I would rather eat my fruit than drink it, because you're getting all the fiber and you're getting much more than just not having it being a smoothie and just having it go straight, to your bloodstream.
And it fills you up more. You feel more satisfied. A smoothie to me, just makes me want to eat more, because I personally need more bulk in my diet.
Exactly. And like you, I always have a salad for lunch, but it's always with protein. So it's either with like tuna or ham or an egg or avocado or chickpeas or whatever it may be. And then, I have like fresh fruit, and then I'll have my main meal after a couple of hours. And I think, not even knowingly, a lot of people actually do OMAD and they don't think about it. because I think so many people consider OMAD just to sit down like a half hour, eat real quick, and you're done. And it's not like you said 100 times, one plate of meal. It's like, several meals or several like servings through a couple of hours, through several hours. And I think a lot of people do OMAD and they don't realize that they do OMAD. They think they're having, set big meals, twice or three times a day. So it's very simple to do, but just, pace yourself with what you're eating and just what you're eating, the way that you're going to eat. Don't put, things like you said that are going to either spike your blood sugar right away.
Well, let me tell you a thing that works with just what you're talking about. And that's me and Jalene coined that phrase, one plate a day instead of one meal a day. For so many years, I had 15 or 20 minutes for lunch, and I would just shove that food in and then go back to work. And so Vicky still gets on me and she says, "You eat so fast." And I do. And it's a bad habit, and I need to break that habit, and I'm slowly trying to, but habits die hard, And I think that not eating, like you said, the actual one meal a day, making it into a feast, that contributes to diet brain also. So
didn't you say OFAD, one feast a day? I thought you coined that, OFAD. I love that.
Yeah, OFAD instead of OPAD.
Yeah, OFAD.
So I think that contributes a lot to it also, is how fast you eat, and if you do spread it out. Now, getting back to what you like to break with, you both know me. You both know that I like to break with eggs and vegetables.
Yeah, kimchi.
And I tried in cheese, and I did try a couple of times, and I still got a couple of cans of beans in there that I'm going to do Jalene's thing with. I'm going to fry up a couple of eggs and have some beans with it, and that works too.
Yeah. And kimchi, sauerkraut. That's always for me.
Well, I mean, I don't even have to talk about or mention kimchi. I mean, I'm going to eat that.
You're the kimchi king.
Yeah. But I tell you what, ever since my friend sent me that big box full of all those different kinds of sauerkraut, I've been a sauerkraut king here for lately.
Yeah, good stuff.
Oh,
so
good stuff. Yeah. So what else about diet brain could we help people to understand that if they do this or if they don't do that, it's going to help, or
I feel like if you're listening and you're brand new, your first task is just to nail the clean fast.
Yes.
A whole month, just fast clean. You don't have to change your diet right away. You're going to find after the first month, once your body is fat adapted, you're going to find that you're going to gravitate more towards whole food. But just nail the clean fast. That's the most important thing in the beginning. And then you'll start to go on your next journey is food quality. And I see a lot of people, like I can tell somebody who's struggling with diet brain or an eating disorder, like instantly, I know, because I've been there, and it's not a judgment. I just know. And they'll ask questions like, am I eating too much? Am I not eating enough? And it just takes time to figure out. And we can't tell you. You have to really learn to tune into your own body. And that takes time. But you can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
We can all do it. I think one example I'd always like to say, especially when people ask, how do I know if I've eaten too much, or if I'm not hungry, should I eat for future hungry?
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, when you go to the gas station and you put gas in your car, and once the tank says full, you're not going to sit still there and still pump gas in your car. Once it's full, it's full. So you have to, like Jamie, you have to recognize your own signals that your body gives you. When you're going to feel full, you're going to know when you're full, but you have to know that's enough. And I'm good and I'm done. Okay.
Jen talks about the sigh when you're eating. If you feel yourself giving the big Sigh,
Mm-hmm.
that's a
Mm-hmm.
really good indicator that you've eaten enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
And
problem
we
is
have
I
to,
don't
we have
ever
to learn to
sigh.
trust ourselves a little bit more
You don't
too.
ever sigh? You might just not even notice. And sometimes I'll sigh and we went out to lunch yesterday and I was like, I did the sigh and I'm like, no, I'm not done. I still wanted to eat a little bit more and that's okay.
That's okay, of
Okay.
course. Of course, of course. I think this whole thing at the end of the day is just about balance. It really is. It's
Mhm.
just about finding balance between the quantity of food we eat, the quality of food that we eat, okay,
Mhm.
and getting rid of the guilt that we have over food. After so many years, and I think everyone, like we said, that come to intermittent fasting has become, we've been through so many diets through the years, and we know the drill, we know what's going on, but it's just that getting used to trusting the process and realizing that this does work. Okay, and
Yeah.
we don't have to go crazy and micromanage every little thing that we put into our mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the common thread between all of the diet camps, like
Noise.
whether it's keto or low carb or vegetarian or vegan, what I'm seeing the common thread is now is the biggest problem is ultra processed food. If we just stick to real whole food, we are going to, and fast, we are going to solve so many of our health issues.
Well,
Oh yeah.
listen. Weight Watchers, Atkins, all of these diets now have become corporations. Okay. And that's a bad thing because they've all started marketing their own foods and their own snacks.
Exactly.
And all of those things have ingredients in it that we have no business, we have no business putting in our bodies. And for somebody who's been on Atkins forever, or somebody who's been on Weight Watchers forever, the counting and the tracking of the food it's a habit. And like
It's
I said a while
exhausting.
ago, habits die hard.
It's exhausting is what it is. It's
Yes.
exhausting. The micromanage every little thing that you have to eat and put on your plate and put on this. It's exhausting. It really is.
We
So
we weren't meant to live like that.
no, we weren't.
No.
And so the takeaway of all of this whole discussion is you're not doing that anymore. Not if you're fasting, you're not doing that anymore. Stop doing it.
It's
Just
sustainable.
rely
It's
on, look,
sustainable.
you're looking at me, you're looking at Daniela, you're looking at Jen, you're looking at Graham, you're looking at all of these people who have lost weight and kept weight off.
Yeah.
And they all did it without diet brain. They all did it without worrying about what they were. Should I eat this or not eat this? They all did it by the simplicity of just eating when you should eat and not eating when you should not eat. It's just that simple. And I hope that the people who are listening to this podcast can walk away with that and understand that it's when you eat and not what you eat.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it sustainable in the long run.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
otherwise it would be like any other diet and it would last 2 months, 3 months, and then we would give up.
Yeah.
What makes this different is that we can go on for months and months and months and years and years and years and still feel good and still have progress and not have to go crazy.
Final thoughts round the room right quick. I just made my final thought a while ago, but Daniela, final thoughts.
Yeah, that's it. Just keep it simple and it'll become sustainable. It'll become a part of your day. When we wake up in the morning, we don't say, "Oh, I have to get up and brush my teeth." You just get up, you do your thing, you go, you brush your teeth. Fasting will become a part of your day. You won't even sit there and realize, "Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that." It just becomes a part of your day, whether you have a window in the morning, whether you have your window in the afternoon, in the evening, whatever that may be. Remember that intermittent fasting has to fit into our lives, not the other way around. We don't have to fit into intermittent fasting. It does what we want it to do, when we want it to do, and how we want it to do. That's how it has to become to be something that you can do day in and day out forever.
Jalene?
Simple.
Enjoy your fast. enjoy your feast, enjoy the repeat. That's all you need to do. It's just the constant fast, feast,
That's
repeat.
it. Makes it so simple.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been great being with you guys on this Sunday afternoon, and
I love y'all.
we love
Awesome.
y'all.
Have a good rest of the day, you guys. It's 9 o'clock for me, so my day's almost done.
Oh,
You guys enjoy your day.
sweet dreams, Daniela.
Thank you.
Bye.
Same thing. Bye, guys. Talk soon.
Bye.